we bring you our Dallas Cowboys owner and general manager. It is Jerry Jones. Good morning, sir.
Hey, man, I want some of what y'all are smoking today.
There we go.
It's excitement, Jerry. It's excitement for a big weekend.
So I love your energy. I love
All right,
your energy.
thank you.
I want some of it.
Okay. Now, Dak said something yesterday, and I know he was just kind of talking in the context of like, it feels like every NFL game can be a must-win game, and he was like, hey, we got to win this game. We got to do better in the fourth quarter. We have to close out some of these losses that have come late. Do you view this as any semblance of a must-win game?
Well, I thought last week was one that we let get away from us at the end, even though we can certainly pointedly be critical of certain areas of play. We had every opportunity to win that game. I think what's surprising is people think, well, Charlotte, surely we can be competitive there. That's the misnomer. You've got real parity in the NFL. It frankly has always been there because if you look at the system, it's almost impossible to not think 500 because of the system of the teams that do the very worst year in, year out, get to get the best players. And therein lies the challenge. But the main thing is that's bearing out here. We certainly, while we are not at all happy with where we are with our record, we have a great opportunity when we've got some of the players that we've got the systems in place we've got. Now, you say, well, what about your defense? Doesn't that need work? Yes, it does. It's going to get work. And it has room for improvement that you can tweak defenses and make a dramatic difference. The game itself, in my view today, has been designed so that you have good offenses. And now everybody doesn't have them, but it's designed, in my mind, rule-making that offenses have an edge. And we're taking advantage of that edge. But just because it's designed that way doesn't mean we're not going to do a better job of trying to stop them, whether it's on the ground or in the air.
Now, I know I've heard you talk about the parity nature of the NFL several times, and I think you're absolutely right about that. I know it was far from a one-man show. Do you ever go back and regret being part of the group that really pushed for the salary cap and it really pushed this league to parity as opposed to having, some of these super teams year in and year out?
Well, I do when it works against me. I regret it. And when it works for me, I've always been for anything that helps the game, helps the interest in the game, as long as it favors the Cowboys. And so you can see where you are, but everybody walks in that room at league meetings. Everybody understands, boy, you're up against the mindset of people that want their team to win it and win it all. Now, the big deal is that, how to do that, and that's where the game comes in. There's all sets of ways to approach most decisions, personnel-wise or, for that matter, scheme-wise. There's all kinds of proponents. And when you incorporate a direction, personnel-wise or scheme-wise, you can rest assured that over half the people will disagree with you. That's a part of what makes this thing the exciting game that it is. I know that years ago, when I first got involved, I went to what I thought and was advised one of the best people for entertainment and TV there was, Dan Burke. He was chairman of Cap City. He had just bought ESPN, and they owned ABC. And he told me at that time, he said, we can't do without football in the NFL, the time of year. But he said there's so many variations on and off the field that it just creates interest every way from Sunday year-round. That's borne out here as I look at it 30 years later.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Jerry, how excited are you right now about having a handful of players, potentially having a handful of players coming back, and CeeDee Lamb and maybe Booker and so forth?
I'm ecstatic. I really am.
Mm-hmm.
We've known that we were going to get players back. We had hoped we'd be in a little better shape on this record right now to get these players back. That still doesn't mean that we don't have a dogfight every time we walk out here. Certainly we all know what challenge we've got against Washington this weekend. But there's no question getting players that we haven't had, using the reps that the players that have been on the field for us the last 3 ball games. Boy, that's priceless for those guys to be getting those reps. And they'll come in here and they'll add depth, and they'll add, we'll be able to give repetition relief to some of the players that, let's say, start the game. All of that bodes well. All of that's a part of the journey. Attrition, dealing with injury, is just as much a part of it as the quarter or the football. It just is going to happen. You can't have these men flying around out there like they do without a lot of time spent on the sideline. You need to plan on that, and shouldn't surprise you when you have to deal with attrition, injury.
Now, Jerry, one of the guys that we're still waiting on, and we still have a little bit of time, I forced my wife to watch a bunch of DeMarvion Overshown highlights last night. She was like, this guy's amazing. In your mind, is he the missing link for this defense?
Well, he is. He would dramatically help our pressures, and he dramatically, as you saw him from sideline to sideline, he has an unusual ability to get outside, all that speed, those instincts, and then can he really wrap them up? He's one of the most unique wrap-up tacklers. And that's the way they're teaching tackling today in the NFL, is to get down there, get in their wheels, and then somehow make a turn that just drops those legs right out from under them when you grab them. And as you've noticed, we've had on our defense, we've had some run after we make those initial hits, getting them down. Well, that has a lot to do with who you're trying to hit, but it also has a lot to do with technique and tackling. Overshown does it well.
Now, he's probably, from everything we understand, it's still another 4 to 5 weeks away. Do you believe that y'all can stay in a competitive mode defensively to get to the point where his return will matter?
Well, we will have something else by the time that we get there, and I hope that it's sooner than 4 or 5 weeks. Now, you may be including a bye situation in there, but hopefully he'll be out there. He was moving around great in training camp. But we don't want to really push that. But we need him yesterday. And he's an outstanding player. I sound trite when I say that, but he can do the kinds of things that the kind of speed and instincts, and yet that motor, and you talking about a good influence on the team. Yeah. He was a good influence at training camp, and you'd see him running around out there, even though he was rehabbing. You'd see him running down the sidelines and those kinds of things. So he's good for a football team.
Now, I know obviously we would love a world in which the offense was the best in the league, the defense was the best in the league, but from some of the improvements or regressions that you've seen from this defense, how good do you believe the defense can be this season? It feels like they just need to be league average. Do you think that is?
Yes, and I'm interrupting. I do apologize, but let me give you a perspective. We've had 3 different defensive coordinators over the last 3 years. That's my fault. That really is. You knew you were going to have somebody different than the last 2 years when we hired Flus. On the other hand, you look at any of these defenses, they get better and better as the season goes along. That's just part of it. And they get more comfortable with their responsibility, they call it gap integrity. That means be sure you've got your spot covered before you leave it, mentally or physically. And so when that changes to any degree, and you're thinking at 100 miles an hour, it's not like we're sitting down there on a piece of paper doing X's and O's. Mm-hmm. Then you have some growing pains. Yes, I think our defense will improve, and it will improve to in the level of preventing some scoring.
You know, Jerry, I'm glad you said that, because when the Commanders coach, the guy on the other side this weekend, Dan Quinn, was here in Dallas, this defense turned around pretty immediately. And I remember him basically saying, look, they wanted to overhaul personnel longer, faster, stronger. They said that frequently. What do you think was the key to Quinn's quick success here?
Oh, I think that his emphasis on takeaways, and you say, why doesn't everybody have emphasis on takeaways? Because sometimes you leave yourself vulnerable. All the time you're giving up something to get something. And so we were always working to, when people were determined, we were always working to stop the run. But we were very good at taking the kind of risks that are justified and getting turnovers. Mm-hmm. The other day, where we were there in Charlotte, that turnover almost was the difference in the ball game to show you how valuable turnovers is. Dan had the ability to generate more turnovers and thereby kept us in good shape with the overall defense, and certainly is great for the offense as well. But, not that we don't emphasize them. We are emphasizing them. We've got some guys out there that know how to take that ball away. And we want to continue to do that, but we also want to incorporate what Flus is trying to do. He'll get there. He will get there. And he's trying to, an opposite from what you see, he's trying to eliminate those explosive plays and make them go the long way. A lot of repetition on an offensive possession by the opponent.
Well, in that instance, Jerry, I don't want this to be any real conflict. I'm just kind of curious.
Well,
I was looking through. I was okay. Then I'm
trying to think of something to say that would create some conflict.
I was
interested in conflict.
Okay, well then.
Yeah. Yesterday I was looking through some stories and I stumbled upon a few that said Eberflus's difficulties in communication with his players at the end of his tenure in Chicago. He had some problems with some of those guys in the locker room. Were you guys aware of that, or did y'all investigate that on your own? And if so, what made you comfortable moving forward?
Well, first of all, I don't want to mean that there's that much meat on the bone there.
Yeah.
But one thing about Eberflus is we certainly knew Eberflus, knew his background, knew how he's evolved in his coaching, knew times when it didn't go good for him, and knew times when it did go good for him. We know Eberflus. And I can tell you he's a young 50-year-old coach that's had head coaching experience in the NFL. You say, well, that's where's that right now if it's important? It's just a part of a makeup. And what you really want more than anything is in times like these, you don't want people that break and run. You want them that'll hang in, stick in there, look pragmatically, make the adjustment if necessary, but do it begrudgingly because Flus has a plan, and he has a plan of what he wants our defense to be. It hadn't worked. It always looks bad, boys, when it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Yet there's a lot of pats on the back when it does. If you can't take that, you can't coach in the NFL.
Also last year, Jerry, you told us that if you played Cliff Kingsbury's offense before, it's a little bit easier to pick up after that. Do you think that his offense is super simple and you're going to destroy it?
Wow.
I'm just
No. I'm not doing anything to the question there, and for obvious reasons.
Gotcha.
No, I have all the respect in the world for Washington, Dan Quinn, the organization that owns Washington, and, of course, we play them twice a year. But, look, we can get our stuff together. It just shows this past weekend that was a surprise that they came out of there with loss. But it just reminds us of how competitive things are. Every game is, when it used to be, let's say I'm going to go to college, you had games that had a certain level of just excitement about it, like a bowl game. Mm-hmm. You had some games, but not all games. Every game in the NFL is like walking out there and playing in the Rose Bowl or playing at that high level. Every game requires that. And every player on that field is inordinately talented. And you got to play like that. And when you mess up real good, you will pay for it. So that's what I love about the game and love about being involved. And there's no way to be involved in this thing. As our fans, there's no way to be involved and have a lot of of only happy days. You're going to have some down times. For me, I use that to feel good in the good times. And I look forward to it when I get hit on the end of the nose, and that helps me through it.
Now, you yourself have played in plenty of those big-time games, especially at the collegiate level. There was a lot of discussion coming out of last weekend's game about physicality, whether it's from your experience or as a player or now running the team. What percentage of physicality in this game do you think is set up by pure talent, by scheme, versus just pure want to?
If the want to is a bigger deal than we want to make it, and it's particularly a big deal, the want to, the going out on a practice or going out in a game and just having accomplished, gone out there and taken the effort and the punishment that goes with this game. This game's, you mentioned it several times, the physical aspect of this game has you do unnatural things, not natural things. Mm-hmm. And you're supposed to get out from in front of it, not over in front of it. And so you got to call on yourself all the time to play this game. More often than not, you've got something hurting. And so you got to do that with some pain. And then you should be tired as time goes along in a game. All of this is a part of it. But you put all of that together, and it's got to be more than just shooting, than just a play. It's got to be a satisfaction of having gone through that physically, mentally, and then at the same time do your job and get a win. And I emphasize that because that's the bond between the players. That's, I'm going to do my job, please do yours. Don't leave that gap until you know they're not coming through it. Please do yours. So they create a accountability to each other as a team game with 11 players out on that field. That is the most important part, is the accountability to each other and the feeling you've got when you've done a job well done. That's bigger than some of the accolades.
Jerry, I think that goes perfectly with the question I'm about to ask here. Sean and RJ had Nate Newton on the other day, and he was phenomenal for an hour. He was great, but he told a story of Charles Haley standing up in the Cowboys locker room and addressing every single person in there and basically challenging them for greatness. Who in your mind in this defensive team has that voice that can do something like that in this locker room?
That's why that we have such a chance. It's our quarterback. It is a dream that that guy in that position has that kind of thing that Charles Haley was exhibiting, talking to those players, because that doesn't come from just because you're good with words. That comes because they know you have done it. I've seen that Charles Haley, and everybody in there heard him before a game, put a needle in him to deaden an area that most people couldn't walk, so that he could go out and compete. As important as he was, the reason he's got 5 Super Bowl rings is because he has the heart of a lion for staying in there. Not talking about it, but he has it, and he had it. And everybody in there knew the price he was paying. And plus, he was that kind of leader. He'll be the first to tell you issues. Of course he had issues. Everybody's got them. But I really admire him. He's one of the smartest players I've ever been around. It's not players, one of the smartest people that I've ever been around. The problem is Charles has a heart bigger than his body. He has that big a heart. And so I can't say enough about Charles Haley, what he contributed. 5 Super Bowl rings. He was on teams that won 5 Super Bowls. And, boy, he was down there where it's rough, man. He's down there in the middle of it.
And I know we all appreciate that level that Dak also brings to the team. Do you guys have any players on defense that you feel like can do that?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I'll tell you, 95 got that. Got it big time. And that's a very good question.
Thank you.
Where is that on defense? Now, actually, that can go from each side of the ball. It's not that defined as to you're on your side and I'm on my side, defense, offense, special teams. but we've got some guys that can do that there defensively, and I like very much, frankly, the Overshown. Michael Irvin said the greatest thing that happened to him was his rehab from his injury in his second year with the Cowboys. He said, I realized that I could lose the thing that I love so much, and that is football. And he said that injury helped me really understand how bad I wanted to get every moment out of it and everything out of it. So injury has several aspects to it that could compensate for having the injury. Overshown could be that kind of player.
Hope so.
Well, we appreciate the time very much, good sir, and none of us like Washington, so let's go kick their ass, man.
Listen, I would like to say something. This is something that's happened to all of the Metroplex and really the Cowboys and everybody involved in this great area. But Brad Sheaves, the long-time SMU star that has meant so much to people involved at that great university. But Brad Sheaves has just become our new regional director for the Chamber of Commerce. Now, we've all won. It's not just good for the Cowboys. It is good for everybody in this area. And I don't know how you could find anybody more qualified. I know of some of the things and rabbits he's pulled out of his hat. He's a champion, and we've just now had him come on, and he's agreed to be the new leader of our Dallas Chamber of Commerce. That's a win for all of us.
Heck yeah.
Very nice. Thank you very much, good sir. We'll catch you next Friday.
Okay. See you guys. Bye.